me in the studio is Doug Herbert, our international affairs commentator. Doug, it seems that everything that could go wrong with these games has, but the organisers insisting that the show must go on.
Yeah, the Japanese Prime Minister, Annette, has actually insisted, he's kept on insisting that these games are going to be, in his words, proof that humanity has defeated the coronavirus. Very rich words given the fact that we now have a situation in Japan where coronavirus cases have been steadily rising, and really not just rising, but in some cases spiking since the end of June. Altogether in Japan, over 5,000 cases reported in the last 24 hours. I think we could even show you just, limiting it to the greater Tokyo area itself. We've had, in the past day, we've had about 2,000 cases. And you could just see that. That's from, the beginning of this month. Steady, 3 times the caseload just from the beginning of the month as the Delta variant surges. And what you basically have is you've had promises from the Thomas Bach, who's the IOC, the International Olympic Committee chief, basically trying to reassure everyone in the public that there will be zero risk to the public, to the athletes, to the officials, and yet that is completely contradicted by the statistics. We've had over 100 people within that so-called Olympic Village bubble, not just athletes, although there are athletes among them, but also organizers and surrounding crew, accredited officials who have been contaminated. The question is, you could say, okay, the numbers are relatively low, 100 in an Olympic Village of over 10,000 athletes and officials, but that becomes exponential. And just in the past 24 hours, just Friday alone on opening day, Annette, we've had 19 new positive cases. The question begins, how many contact cases do you have? When does that become unviable? What might you not be able to hold a competition? Up until the last minute, right down to the wire, the officials have been holding out the possibility of pulling the plug, even though officially they're going on with the show.
And as they say, and as they keep insisting, that these games will be safe. So can they stick to that promise?
This is the problem. They've already been penalizing. There have been reports in the Japanese press of penalties and fines imposed, sanctions really, against athletes, unnamed, or officials who have already violated these rules. They're extremely strict rules. It's not for lack of being strict. Forcing them when you're in isolation, you can't slip out of your hotel room just to get a snack. You have to stay isolated around the clock. There are no spectators. The stadium, the national stadium, where Emperor Naruhito is going to open the games, it holds 70,000 people. There's going to be 950 there, including Emmanuel Macron. None of the public is going to be allowed. Initially, there were hopes that Japanese would be able to attend. That's not happening, at least not at the opening ceremony. Can they contain this virus? Even the officials themselves are not entirely optimistic about it. It used to be these games were going to be an opportunity to showcase a Japan still being a global power despite a lot of modern-day problems the society is experiencing. These are now becoming the barometer of success, the benchmark for these games. Can they just get through the next 18 days without really a COVID disaster?
And I think, like most of us, they're all having to play it day by day.
Exactly. Hour by hour, Annette, I almost say. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Doug Herbert.